It's time to review our friendly pop earbuds. You know that song in 2011 that was everywhere and you just couldn't get it out of your head because the radio wouldn't stop playing it to the point where even though you liked the song when it started, by the end you were willing to murder someone? Oh, you don't know? You know Pumped Up Kicks? Foster the People? Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. You know, I'm not that big of a Foster the People fan, I'll be honest. I like Torches. I did. It was a good album, but I'm not a huge fan. Personally, I thought I had to review this because of the fact that that song would not go away. I knew who this was, and I thought, well, it's a big album release regardless of whether I love it or not. So, here we go. Foster the People's Supermodel. The pop songs that just won't die. Just kidding. Foster the People. Supermodel. So look at that. I mean, the artwork's pretty sweet. I like it. I like what they're going for. But the thing with Foster the People is they're a pop band made on one song. Bands like that always have a problem. And it's really stupid because the same problem happens a lot with bands like this. I mean, I can't even remember the last time. Remember MGMT? Awesome. 5 amazing hits. Everybody loved them. And then they made Congratulations to try and break free from that sound that everyone knew to be different. And then it was like, what are you doing? I hate you now. And then they tried again to be just different and hate their pop sound and just break free into the weird zone like the Flaming Lips. And everyone hated them even more. Or Phoenix. Phoenix is a better example because Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix is amazing. I love that album. It's one of my favorites of the year. And it's because of the pop sensibilities, not necessarily poppy, but indie rock pop mix. And when they made Bankrupt, everyone went nuts because we were super excited for the follow-up to 1981, right? 1991. And, you know, Rope. We have this so many hits on that song, you know. That album was amazing, but then Bankrupt came and they tried to break free of that pop by making anti-pop songs, and it was like, it's good, but it's not Wolfgang. So it's just a shame because that happens. People are like, I know that was awesome, but we don't want to be, you know, the Three Doors Down and Mumford and Sons boxed into the same sound, which I understand. I get that. But then people don't care anymore, you know? It's a tough line. Stay the same. Do something different. What do I do? Where's the line? What am I trying to accomplish? It's tough. So without that, we'll get into it in a second, but how about some information? Foster the People. They're an American indie rock band formed in Los California in 2009. See, they haven't been around that long. This one doesn't shock me. The group is composed of Mark Foster on vocals, keyboards, piano, synthesizers, guitar, programming, percussion, everything. We have got QB Fink on bass and backup vocals, and Mark Pontius on drums and percussion. The group's music is described as dance-infused pop and rock. It spans genres. It doesn't really span genres, guys. Sorry, Wikipedia. But no, I mean, everyone knows what Foster the People sound like. They're a pop band with rock a little bit thrown in. You know, they put out this huge song, Pumped Up Kicks, and it was everywhere in 2010. And people loved them, and they toured the world, and everyone was waiting for them to top that album and come up with the sequel because, man, it was a big deal. So, here's the thing. I think it's interesting that Mark Foster graduated from Normandia High School in Cleveland, Illinois. At his father's encouragement, he moved with his uncle to Selmar, Los Angeles, California to pursue a career in music. He worked various jobs and attended parties in Hollywood to expand his social network. You know, just get around. He actually was working, you know, writing jingles when he actually got into this. Yeah, he was a commercial jingle writer for Monofix in 2008. And he definitely learned a lot about music, and that's how he ended up breaking free and becoming, you know, Foster the People. So with that said, let's review Supermodel. Alright, so Supermodel is an interesting album because it's, again, nothing like Torches. Like, about every pop star that really wants to break free of their sound. They just don't like what they came through because they don't want to be known as the band that wrote Pumped Up Kicks forever. So they just tried to break free. In theory, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be something more than just a pop song people know instead of becoming boxed in, like I said, Mumford & Sons. Sad. The problem is when artists try to do that, they rebel against pop hooks, and they try to do anything against that catchy sound that they're known for to create music that's different. But they also don't end up making music people want to hear, and that's really problematic. I mean, you can change up your sound and still create music that people want to hear. Look at Mute Math. Look at Radiohead. Sadly, it doesn't happen a lot, and it is not what happens here. We're left with creative new songwriting that is just not interesting enough to stick out from all the music out there today. And even with all the major changes and the difference, they end up sounding bland and watered down versions of their previous selves. Everything that was interesting and sounding cool about Torches is lost. That's the problem when you're trying to change up. You can't transition into it halfway with an album and then do the full next album. Third album is the one where they're like, bam, that's what we're trying to do. No, you gotta go for it. You gotta go all the way into it, like Mute Math does, like Radiohead does on every album. You gotta change completely. It either fails or it works. You can't half-ass it. You can't be like, I'm gonna still sound sort of like us, but we'll fix the reinvention after we figure out what we want to do later. No. It just doesn't work. And for that aside, we start off here with Are You Wanna Be? Are You What You Wanna Be? They have this breakout thing where in the studio last time they used studio sounds, and they switched that to be real instruments on this album. Actually, a lot of sounds from the world. It's world instruments, and they would visit places like Morocco and just all over Africa when they were writing this album, and you can hear that here because they have African drum sounds. I like to say this one sounds like a blander TV on the radio. Ask Yourself is one of the two songs that slightly resembles Torches. It uses multiple synth layers and heavy pop vocals to become most likable of the songs on here. Not good, don't get me wrong, just most likable, most poppy, you know. Coming of Age is another song that resembles Torches. It's also the lead single, and it's the most likable album on this, most likable song on the album. It's the poppiest. It's got one of the best songs in general, not just the poppiest. It sounds like Foster the People that we're used to, with catchy guitar lines, synth layers, the pop harmonies, all we want. Even though it feels like the, Foster the People of old, it still sounds like a song off the middle of Torches, just the filler songs, not like the great hits. Nevermind makes use of a Spanish-sounding guitar in a children's choir. I don't know, it's different, but it isn't great. We get to, I'm not even going to try, Pseudologica Fantastica. It's a majorly psychedelic song with tons of electronic synth layers. Take like a modern take on psychedelic music. It's got a lot of static and electronic noise to it. I don't know, it's one of the better songs on the album. This one actually grew on me. From there we go to The Angelic Welcome of Mr. Jones. It's just a choir chorus, 30-second intermission on the album. And after that we go into Best Friend. Song that really grew on me. Crazy synth lines are combined with this 80s feel, like Devo going for it, and then this big band horn section thrown in. Catchy pop vocals, 80s synthesizers, horns, big band. I like it. It's a good song. The Beginner's Guide to Destroying the Moon. This is my personal favorite song on the album, and it's one of the best examples of changing being something that works sometimes. The vocals switch from high falsetto to baritone off and on. He just jumps up and down the register all over. And it's got this over-the-top grinding guitar and cool piano lines, and it's a differently weird but awesome song. Goats and Trees is a stripped-down acoustic song. And let's just say that stripped-down acoustic songs work for some bands and not for others. And I think that while it's a pleasant surprise for bands like Foo Fighters, for Foster the People it just sounds like something's missing. The Truth is a super heavily synth-layered song. It's not good or bad. It really doesn't stick out that much on the album, but it's there. And the last song, Fire Escape, is another acoustically stripped-down song. It's more interesting than Goats and Trees because it serves as the album's closing ballad. But it still doesn't feel like it does that much, so I don't know. It's tough. Some of the songs accomplish what they're trying to and grow on you and get stronger instead of, being instantaneously catchy. They want to grow on you, and some of them work. We've got Pseudologica Fantastica, that works. The Beginner's Guide to Destroying the Moon grew on me, and that's catchy. And even Best Friend grew on me. And some of the songs had that signature sound from Torches, like Coming of Age and Ask Yourself. But you gotta choose. You can't do both. You gotta change completely or throw in all of them into that sound. It just doesn't work to do half and half. The songs that didn't grow, though, they're not discovered fully because the songs that didn't grow on me sound more diverse but blander, and it's bland, it's boring, it doesn't stick out enough. It just doesn't. It's polarizing to fans because a lot of people love it. A lot of people wish they were the old band. I'm not on either side. I like Torches. I don't think they needed to make another full Torches album. I also don't think that the change was complete. I think they should have gone fully in and farther changed so that by the time the third album runs around when they figure out their full sound, they could have done it on 2 instead of on 3. So, 3 stars. Yeah. 3 stars out of 5, it's average. hits on this album would definitely be, I think, Coming of Age, Pseudological Fantastica, A Beginner's Guide to Destroying the Moon, and Best Friends are the definite hits on this album. 3 stars. So, thanks for listening.